Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Stephen. And a real pleasure to be here. And I couldn't not be here because Nick Herbert, who's a very long-standing friend of mine, hounded me all summer to say, I hope you're going to be speaking at the Countryside Alliance reception. But of course, I will always make time for this organisation, and I've always as well supported the Conservative Rural Forum and the work that Peter and the team there have done. And I think it's great that you do this joint event to bring these two groups together for this reception. Look, I just wanted to touch on one key area, really, and that is, as we leave the European Union and start to think about how things can be done differently, both on agriculture, fisheries, but also the environment, I've got really one clear thing that I want us to achieve as a country, and that is that we start to make policy based on evidence, based on science, and basically policy decided by politicians that are advised by that science. And that we move away from the system we've basically been stuck with for recent decades, where it's all about litigation, where there's huge amounts of ambiguity, perpetual legal jeopardy, where whatever the government does, there's a risk that it's going to be taken to court and JR'd by this or that group, where it's completely unpredictable which way a judge will go, because the EU directives that we've been working under have such ambiguity in them that you never know which way a particular judge will fall. And we've got a great opportunity now to bring some clarity and certainty to some of these fields of policy. And it's why we are taking a power in the Environment Bill as a first step to look in particular at the habitat regulations and the HRA. This has caused some particular problems in areas that are relevant to many of you here around general licensing, for instance, and around the release of game birds, where sometimes there's a scientific reason for doing some things, but actually what we are required to do is entirely dictated by what type of legal action we have. And nobody really knows where they stand until things are heard through a court. And it's no way really to run policy. So I've asked Richard Benyon to lead a review of the way that habitat regulations work, so that we can bring clarity and certainty, really understand what we're trying to achieve in all of our protected sites, understand why they've been designated, what features they're trying to protect, and what the policy should be to protect those, but not to have this sort of endless ambiguity of not knowing what you should be doing in sites. And I want to get to a situation where we don't have agencies like Natural England absolutely run ragged, worrying about where a pheasant can be and where a pheasant pen can be. I want them to be focused on really delivering environmental improvements in these areas, not being driven by the litigation of some of those organisations. So there's a huge amount going on, but we've got a great opportunity in all of these spheres to have really clear legislation that's informed by science, that's decided by politicians, and to remove some of that litigation and some of that legal jeopardy that I know everybody here has been affected with over the years. The only final thing to say is we do have a lot of ambitions on animal welfare. I know some of you will have anxieties about some of the things that we are proposing, but we've got some really clear manifesto commitments around recognising animal sentience and making sure that we have a committee, a bit like they have in Scotland, to do that. There are other things we're doing that I think some of you in this room will like more. So included in our proposals is a raft of measures around hares. Some of that you will like, some of it you might not like, but we are certainly planning a raft of new measures to crack down on illegal hare coursing, giving the police additional powers to be able to tackle this, but also looking at the issue of modernising the Victorian Hare Preservation Act. That Neil and I have long supported the modernisation of this particular act since we were MPs, but to basically re-establish what we always intended to have, which was a closed season around the shooting of hares. So there's a huge amount going on in this space. Some of it you'll like, some of it I completely appreciate that you might not. I wanted to be honest with you about all of it. But we do have this great opportunity, particularly around some of those EU directives and the Habitats Directive in particular, to bring some semblance of order and clarity to issues like general licensing and Richard Benyon is going to really get to grips on that over the next few months. So thank you, Tim, very much for inviting me. Real pleasure to see you all, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference and the Prime Minister's speech tomorrow.